So you don't just lob up with the catalogue and say, what are we looking at? Your work and your study for the catalogue has begun well before, for example, the Magic Millions. I'd imagine you and various other agents are up in the Hunter Valley and other areas looking at these babies before they get to the sale anyway.
Yeah, we, agents or trainers will spend a lot of time. Once the catalogue comes out, you can't wait to get into the catalogue and have a look, see what's there and what half relations or relations of things that you may have bought in the past that are coming up or things you're keeping an eye on. But it starts with getting the catalogue. Gay Waterhouse, for example, she heads up to the studs very early. She's usually the first there. If you've beaten Gay, you're the first out of bed. But the 2 or 3 weeks leading into, say, the Magic Millions or the Easter sale, or any sale for that matter, you will be at the farms looking at the horses in their own environment and assessing them, and not so much picking the horse you're going to buy, but just taking out the horses that you can't really live with, you don't see as an athlete or don't see them as a long-term racehorse. So, and you're just fine-tuning the list.
Well, it'd be remiss of us to have you here without discussing some of your better purchases over recent years, and well, one that jumps out is a horse called Jim Carew. This bloke won the Canterbury Guineas going back a little way now for the Banjo Club Syndicate.
Yeah, it was a very exciting horse. I'd just left Inglis at the time, and Reg Inglis, at my very first sale after I'd left William Inglis, asked me to buy the Banjo Club a horse, and it had turned out to be Jim Carew, who won a Group 1. So it was on a lot of fronts. It was very exciting for me to buy a horse like him. And not long after that, a horse like Before Too Long, a very speedy mare. She was just a really good mare. Group 2 winner of the Champagne Stakes in Melbourne. She won the Champagne Stakes at Moonee Valley. She won the Group 2. She led up a Golden Slipper field. It was still throwing punches at him 100 metres out. She had a lot of ability, She did have some breathing issues that sort of curtailed a racing career, if you like, but she was a lot of fun. It was a good syndicate and a good fun bunch of boys in it. And you're also involved, I suppose, in the buying and selling of a horse, the late Maurice. He was a gun 2-year-old. Well, I suppose we never saw the best of him because he unfortunately died, but you were involved in some way, shape or form with this bloke? Yeah, this is an interesting story. Maurice, I was talking to Gay Waterhouse, who happened to be at the Keeneland sales, September yearling sales, and Gay said she's looking for a colt to race on and turn into a stallion prospect. And so I had that in the back of my mind, and a chance conversation with a good friend of mine, Damon Gabberty, mentioned that Maurice, 2-year-old at the time, who'd started a couple of times for Rod Douglas down in Melbourne, and showed a bit of promise. He looked like a horse with a bit of future, and Damon said to me, he said, Jonathan Munns, who owned the horse outright, said he might sell him or sell part of him. And I said that to Gay, and clearly it must have lit up Robbie Waterhouse's ratings, and Gay and Robbie were all over the horse, and within a matter of weeks the horse was, half the horse was sold, and he went on to win the Size Produce and the Champagne Stakes and ended up being champion 2-year-old that year, and then subsequently sold to Darley for an extraordinary figure. We'll look at another horse now that was quite an expensive purchase of Vincox Bloodstock, and we know that you have in the past operated at the lower end, but Light Horseman was quite an expensive horse at the sales, and it was good to see him get the cash. Recently, he's a horse with a lot of ability. It's just a matter of putting it together, and we saw here this day he certainly put it together. He's a frustrating horse in so many ways. He's, on his day he could beat nearly anything, but he's just racing's an inexact science. You're not buying a Mercedes. You don't stick the keys in and away they go. But when you do put the key in this horse and it works, he does let down. He was an expensive horse, and we're still hoping to turn him into a valuable stallion prospect. He's still a colt, and we've got some nice races lined up for him. So with any luck, we'll knock him into shape. And in more recent times, meaning just last weekend past, one of your purchases, But I'm Ready, was able to score, and I think Black Opal bound now, and it's a race that Gary Portelli's had a fair share of success in. Yeah, it's But I'm Ready was bought for a good client of ours, Dennis Shop, and he's a more than ready horse. Clearly likes a wet track, and Gary does plan to go to the Black Opal. We won it with Down the Wicket. He won it last year with the Largo Bolt
and Coral Salute,
a few years ago. So So it's a nice race for Gary. Gary has worked out how to win it, and it's a nice race to win. It's a good stepping stone with the slipper.
Yeah, there he goes. He goes against the line. It's always good to have a 2-year-old that's going well at this time of year. Now, we know that you are associated with the Gary Portelli stable. Would any owners say to you, ask for advice on other trainers to go to? I mean, do owners ask for your advice on, I suppose, all different matters, I suppose?
Absolutely. I can't be seen to be aligned to anyone particularly in my business. And Gary and I are very good friends and obviously have a very good relationship, so that works well for us. But a lot of my clients and my own horses are with other trainers, and you know, I do have horses with all the leading stables in Sydney, Melbourne, and up in Brisbane. So yeah, and again, the owner will come to you and say, you know, I haven't got a trainer picked out, and it's an industry of personalities, and it's a matter of putting the owner with a particular trainer that you think that they can work with. Some owners will have a clash with certain trainers and others won't. So it's a case of personalities and what will work.
Vin, before we let you go, one final question. It's my first foray into the game. I don't know much about it. What would be some piece of advice for a beginner in the racing and breeding industry?
My advice is to pick up the phone and talk to people. I think it's a very important part of it. It's quite an overwhelming spectacle to turn up to a sale and think, well, what horse am I going to buy? You know, anyone will take your phone call, whether it's a trainer, a bloodstock agent, auction house or whatever. We're all about getting people involved in the industry, not scaring them off. We want to endear them, ingratiate them and make sure people come and enjoy the experience. I wouldn't be afraid of ringing anyone out there that you think you like, you've seen on television, you think I quite like the attitude of that person or that trainer or whatever. And just talking to them, they'll tell you the wrongdoings or the right doings from there on. Vin,
it's always good to chat. Thanks for joining us on Connections.
Thank you, Richard.
There he is, Vin Cox from Vin Cox Bloodstock. Always makes plenty of sense, and it's always good to talk to Vin at this time of year, especially in the middle of the sales and big racing. Gives a good perspective on things, a bloodstock agent's perspective on the way the industry is. Coming up, let's have a look and see what's coming up. The owner's diary. What about the weekend at Moonee Valley? Oh, the nominations for the William Reid Stakes are unbelievable. Can't wait to see the final field there. The Alistair Clark Stakes for the 3-year-olds and the Sunline Stakes. Big group racing at Moonee Valley. I'll be down there at Randwick on the weekend. Cannot wait for the Lightfingers Stakes and the Royal Sovereign Stakes. Also the Breeders' Classics. Some really good racing on the Eastern Seaboard this weekend. Dalby, the $50,000 QT 600 plate over the 1,000 metres, and the Cannonball Sprint for the Speed Merchants there at Dalby on Saturday. And on Sunday, it's one of Narracord's biggest days of the year, the $30,000 Narracord Cup, a Valentine's Day theme. Come on, boys, get out there. I'm sure there'll be plenty of women out there on Valentine's Day. A young punters club, and for the youngsters, face painting for the kids. And Friday the 26th of February at Randwick, the Pink Stilettos race day. It is, of course, Mardi Gras time of year. That'll be a good day at the races, I'm sure, for the Pink Stiletto race day. Another big day coming up at Randwick in the near future. That brings Connections to a close for another week. Thanks for your company. We'll see you again next time.